All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to entrepreneurs all across Africa. Welcome to another masterclass on digital growth strategies for the modern entrepreneur. Our facilitator for today is Alero Oladipo, who is the Group Head Marketing and Corporate Communications at United Bank for Africa. Thank you so much, madam, for hosting this masterclass. And we all hope we'll have a great session today. Over to you, Toko, to translate that introduction and we can start. Thank you very much.
Ok, thank you. Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue à cette nouvelle session de masterclass. Donc aujourd'hui, nous allons voir ensemble les stratégies de croissance digitale pour entrepreneurs modernes. Et nous avons Madame Ladipo de UBA qui va nous entretenir. Merci d'être des nôtres. Over to you, Madame.
Thank you and good afternoon. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you're coming from or where we are joining this masterclass from. And thank you for joining. And I've been looking forward to having this masterclass today. So the title for this class is Digital Growth Strategies for Modern Entrepreneurs. But before we start, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. The Group Head for Marketing and Corporate Communications for United Bank for Africa. I have over 20 years experience in marketing, brand, and corporate communications, building strategies both on traditional and digital media. And as things have evolved over time, digital has become one of the critical pillars for us reaching into our audience, engaging with them, speaking to them. And worked across a number of institutions in Africa. So not just Nigeria, but in Africa, understanding the landscape. So I'm looking forward to having this session. I'm hoping that at the end of the session, we can have a number of questions that we can just engage you on, or we can engage each other on. And we really take out some key learnings from this session. Foko, over to you, then I can start.
Ok, donc aujourd'hui, nous allons donc avoir Madame Ladipo, qui est la responsable marketing de communication du groupe UBA. Elle a plus de 20 ans d'expérience et a déjà eu à intervenir dans les stratégies de communication et de marketing en ligne dans plusieurs entreprises dans pratiquement toute l'Afrique. Donc, elle est assez expérimentée pour nous entretenir pendant ce masterclass sur ce sujet. Donc, merci une fois de plus d'être des nôtres. Over to you.
Thank you, Messi. So I'm just going to start by a statement that's quite obvious, I think, for all of us, that we no longer go online, we now live our lives online. And if you're any entrepreneur across any kind of business, if you're not living online with your customer, then you haven't really started engaging them. If you think about it, if your business isn't growing online, then that means it's shrinking offline. Primarily, the business of growth is happening in the digital era. And it doesn't matter what your offer is. If it could be you're actually selling something physical, or you're selling a commodity, or you're selling a service, digital and online engagement is most likely the way you can expand and scale. There's one thing to start a business. Where digital takes you to is really around how you can scale your business. And that's why we're talking about growth strategies around that. Now, we all know this, but it's always a good reminder that Africa does not have a youth problem. Africa has a connectivity opportunity. So we have over 500 million internet users. So people on the continent are connected. We have a young population, we all know this. And basically how they interact, how they connect is through the digital economy. So you can see that oil is not infinite, but data is. What that means is that with where we're going on an online perspective, things are always going to keep evolving. So this is not just about getting started online, it's about how you can grow online. Over to you, Foko.
OK, thank you. Donc, vous devez savoir que de nos jours, il n'est pas question d'être en ligne. De nos jours, nous vivons en ligne. On est connecté en permanence. Et quelque part, vous devez savoir que si votre entreprise n'est pas connectée, n'a pas une croissance en ligne, c'est que vous avez une activité timide. C'est pas bon. Vous devez vous connecter. Aujourd'hui, le problème qu'on a ne va pas toujours être un problème de jeunesse, mais c'est un problème de connectivité. Donc, quelle que soit l'activité que vous avez, que ce soit des produits ou des services, vous devez comprendre, et on vous l'expliquera pendant ce masterclass, que être en ligne, c'est la clé de l'entrepreneuriat de nos jours. Over to you.
Thank you. So let's start with a little bit about the SWOT opportunities for digital growth. Now, we all know that as entrepreneurs, low cost or managing your costs is important. So digital gives you the opportunity. The strength of this is digital gives you the opportunity to not spend a lot on your marketing and communications. It also is a two-way street. So it allows for brand listening, it allows for feedback, it allows for continuous tweaking of your engagement, and it is scalable. It's not it's not like traditional media that once you've put something in there like a poster that you cannot take it down. You have to sort of keep the poster there for a minimum of 3 months in order for you to drive scale. With digital, you can drive scale on a continuous basis. Now, there are weaknesses and threats that are very similar. The cybersecurity risk is a risk and it is also a threat. People are a little bit more conscious of what they do online, either because, especially when you're selling something, whether it is a service or a physical item, it is a risk and it is a weakness of the platform. There's constant algorithm changes that are happening. Some people are seeing that on their platforms, they're losing followers. If you're a YouTube user, you can see that sometimes the amount of income that you could have gotten from YouTube, if you're a content person, for example, is not happening as it used to be. And the owners of digital platforms are constantly changing these algorithms to keep it competitive amongst themselves as well. I just spoke about competition. There's increased competition on both sides. There's increased competition on the side of the owners of the platform, and then there's increased competition on the side of the users of the platform. The number of, as you are, the number of entrepreneurs, the number of people almost doing the same thing. So one critical thing to think about your digital growth strategies is how do you differentiate yourself? Hanging on or clinging on to trends, and we'll speak a little bit more about this, is not what's going to get you the kind of skill. You must find a differentiator. And even when you find that differentiator, you have to keep tweaking that differentiator because the world is constantly moving and people are copying. People are copying you, you are copying people. So it's important for you to understand that, come to terms with it, accept it as a threat, but also accept it as, if you've identified it as a threat, how do you make an opportunity out of it? And that is how you differentiate. And then obviously your platform dependency. I've had a number of people that thinking, oh, I started so well, and then all of a sudden everything fell apart online. It's also because you haven't learned or managed that platform, learned about the platform and managed that platform appropriately. It is important that in everything that you do, you understand the platforms that you're working with. Whether it's a social media platform or you're working just online off your website, you have to understand that platform and how to work with that platform and how to scale with that platform as well. So I'm going to speak to these pillars one at a time, but let me just mention them. So the 4 pillars of digital growth, all of us have heard about them, but this is to isolate them and to let us, then we'll then go deep dive into each of them. First of all, the simplest one, the basic one, visibility. You must first be visible. If you're not visible, you haven't started. So the truth is, visibility is the foundation of all things. How are you being seen? How are you showing up? Are you even showing up at all from a digital perspective? Then you start to think about, okay, how exactly am I showing up? And one of the critical things as a pillar is, how customer centric are you? one critical element of digital strategies and how to position yourself online is really about your messaging. And what speaks to your messaging is your customer centricity. How much of the insights, how many insights of your customer, how have you even defined your customer? Do you know who your customer is and what your customer likes or dislikes? And how are you interpreting that? And how is it making you show up? We'll go into some more detail. Then again, digital enablement. Some people think that once I'm on a platform, that's digital. Once I am on a social media platform, that's digital. That is not digital. That is one aspect of it. The complete and 360 view of digital means that you need to be optimizing if you've got a website. You need to understand how search engine marketing also works, social media marketing works, how you also need to understand how certain AI tools and back-end tools such as your Google Analytics, what is it saying to you? How does it work? That's what we talk about digital technology enablement. And then, okay, when you've gotten all those things in place, how do I optimize and scale? Because you will get to a point where you're driving your digital conversation, you're driving your digital marketing and communications, you're seeing results, but at some time at some point you start to plateau. You have to get to a point, okay, how now, once I've gotten to that stage where I'm not making much growth, how do I scale? And then we'll think about it. So please, during this conversation, remember these 4 pillars of growth. Foko, over to you.
OK, thank you. Donc, la croissance digitale est importante et nous allons partager avec vous les forces, faiblesses, menaces et opportunités. Donc, déjà, comme force, vous devez savoir que c'est le faible coût pour les startups et aussi que vous avez des retours en direct, des retours directs de la clientèle et il y a une possibilité de rendre scalables les infrastructures que vous utilisez. Donc, voilà les forces de la croissance digitale, d'être dans le numérique. Au niveau des faiblesses, on va se rendre compte que les faiblesses sont en même temps les menaces. Pourquoi? Parce que, par exemple, la cybersécurité est un risque. Les algorithmes qui changent constamment. Vous avez aussi la croissance de la concurrence et la dépendance de la plateforme, des plateformes. Donc, ces différents aspects que je viens de citer peuvent être en même temps des faiblesses ou bien des menaces. Il est donc question pour vous de savoir les dompter à votre avantage. Maintenant, nous allons passer aux 4 piliers de la croissance digitale. Les 4 piliers de la croissance digitale sont les suivants. Nous avons la visibilité, qui est un pilier clé. Nous avons le fait qu'on doit être centré sur la clientèle. Nous avons aussi la disponibilité de la technologie et surtout le fait que vous devez toujours être dans l'optimisation et l'évolutivité, pour ne pas dire la scalabilité. Donc voilà les 4 piliers sur lesquels nous allons revenir en détail tout de suite. Thank you. Over to you. Please, I'm not sure slides are moving. Over to you.
Okay, can you confirm? I've not moved. Are you all? I'm now on slide 7.
No, it's still in slide 1
No,
here.
it is not moving at our side.
But you can go on while
Can you see the
Foko
slides now?
translates. Yes, we can, but it's just still in the first page.
Okay. Is it moving now? Because I'm moving the slides.
No, it's not. But it's fine. You can go on. Foko has the slides.
So let me
You
stop
can translate
sharing
from there.
and then let him, so that people can see the slides, because they
Can
can
see the
get,
slides.
maybe I stop sharing and then you can share so that at
All
least
right.
people can see the slides if they're not.
All right.
So just let me stop sharing and then you can share.
Okay. Okay. You can see my screen now.
Yes, can you go to slide 7, please?
Okay.
Okay. I hope everyone can see the slides now. Is it possible to make it a full screen?
No, this is the PDF version.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
the first pillar that we spoke about earlier on was digital visibility. Now, digital visibility is not just about how you look. So it's not just about the look and feel of what you're putting online. So it's not about pictures, it's not just about videos. Digital visibility is also about how you you optimize your website and what your Google profile is saying about you. So I would encourage everyone after this course is actually to just Google and find out what is really being said about you online. Some people think visibility is about how many times people see you or how many times they actually see you online. It goes beyond that. It also means that if you're an entrepreneur, you're offering a service, how are you also optimizing if you have a website, have you optimized your website with keywords? Are there certain things that in relation to your business that you've been able to do? Um, how are you leveraging social media for storytelling and trends? So a number of times a trend comes up on social media and people start to pick on them, or they just pick on it and they just want to replicate exactly how it is being done how it's being done elsewhere. The idea is that it's not just about picking up on a trend. Visibility is about how important is that trend to your business? Does it fit into your business? Before you decide, and is there a way that this trend can be deployed by myself without it just being an obvious copy of a trend? The other thing is social media storytelling. We've seen research that shows that people are more interested in you telling a story than in you just pushing out communication, where you're just posting things about this is my product, this is my service, this is what I do. People want to hear a journey. They want to understand how the product was got there. How did you develop this idea? How do you manage this on a daily basis? So it's no longer about just selling. I'll use a very it's not just about, oh, I've decided to make these fantastic shoes that are eco-friendly. The story behind deciding to make eco-friendly shoes and the fact that these eco-friendly shoes, how they are produced and who is wearing them, that is part of the storytelling aspect of digital visibility. I've spoken a little bit about SEO, but you must be able to, and it's linked to optimizing your website. If you really want to scale your business, search engine optimization is critical. If you want to be one of those businesses that is growing, that people are coming top of mind for people, you must be able to optimize keywords on your website. It would have been interesting because I would have asked the questions, how many people have a website? How many people understand what the keywords are that are in relation to their business? And sometimes your keywords are not directly linked to your business. So I'll use, let me say you started a business that does service of cars. So sometimes people that are trying to, and you want to put this platform up or you want to project how you service cars online, you might think that, okay, should I just have optimized words like service, optimize words like car, optimize words like tire. You may want to think of optimizing words like breakdown or car breakdown. And what's the reason behind this? The reason is primarily is that when people are looking for your site, think about the things that are surrounding their need for your site, not just things that are in direct relation to your site. And then also, from time to time, invest in digital ads for you to drive wider reach. 70% of customers discover new brands on social media. So if you are not projecting your brand and spending a little bit of advertising on these platforms, once you understand who your customer is, you are not going to be able to scale. Next slide, please. Or Foko, maybe you want to interpret that before I speak to the next pillar.
Yes, thank you. Donc, pour ce qui concerne la visibilité digitale, vous devez comprendre qu'aujourd'hui, la visibilité digitale, ce n'est pas seulement le fait que vous êtes en ligne. Non, la visibilité digitale, c'est le fait que vous optimisez votre site Internet, vous optimisez votre présence sur Internet et surtout, il faut de temps en temps aller regarder votre profil sur Google. Donc, vous tapez votre nom, le nom de votre marque ou le nom de votre entreprise sur Google pour voir ce que les autres peuvent voir quand ils font les recherches sur vous. Donc, vous devez savoir optimiser ou tirer parti de votre présence en ligne à travers, par exemple, le storytelling et les tendances. C'est-à-dire que la façon dont vous communiquez sur les réseaux sociaux doivent permettre que les gens aient un certain narratif de vous. Ça qu'on appelle le storytelling. Que lorsqu'ils vous suivent, qu'ils aient une image d'un parcours que vous voulez partager avec ces personnes-là. Il y a aussi ce qu'on appelle la SEO, c'est-à-dire ce sont les systèmes de recherche que les moteurs de recherche utilisent. Vous devez savoir optimiser votre présence en ligne de façon que lorsque les gens vont faire les recherches en fonction d'une thématique spécifique qui est votre cause, qu'ils puissent tomber sur vous. Pour cela, vous devez utiliser certains mots-clés, un peu comme les hashtags, ça dépend de vous, qui permettent de vous identifier et d'avoir une certaine personnalité en ligne. Vous devez aussi investir dans de la publicité en ligne quand c'est nécessaire avant d'atteindre une cible relativement large. Et pour finir, vous devez noter que 70% des clients de nos jours découvrent les nouvelles marques en ligne. Comme quoi, il est important pour vous d'être sur les réseaux sociaux afin de communiquer et avoir une visibilité digitale. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you. So the next pillar is customer-centric digital marketing. Sometimes we go onto digital for ourselves. That's for the business. We don't think about the customer. So we think, let us sell our product, let us sell our service. We don't understand that it's not about what we have to offer, it's about what the customer wants. So it is very important that your digital marketing is data-driven based on the persona of your customers. So part of driving your business and making your business successful, you should have defined 3 or 4 personas of your target audience. Who is this person? Up to the point of what is the age? What does the person do? What kind of time frame does the person have to even interact with my communication? Who am I getting to notice me? And what does this person? And have 3 or 4 personas. Use data. People talk about data being the new oil, being the new gold, but the importance of data is driven by the need for people to want personalization in what it is that they do right now. People don't respond to just general communications or general marketing anymore. If not, you might as well just be in the marketplace. No, but even in the marketplace, in the physical marketplaces that we have across Africa, it is through understanding and knowing your customer that you actually engage them and keep them coming back. And that goes to the next point about building emotional connections through your content. Human beings that are going to connect with your brands or with the businesses that you're building are going to connect on an emotional level. And that's why people talk about customer service being king. Customer service is when people connect with people on an emotional level, but deliver based on the basic level, because they can be bad customer service can still be delivered if the person engages with you, picks up your service or your product, but decides that they are never coming back again, right? How do you build that emotional connection? I sometimes feel that a number of entrepreneurs or business owners just don't really think deeply about building emotional connections with their content. How do you humanize your content? How do you make people think when you're thinking about how you're positioned that, oh, I can see myself enjoying this service or enjoying this product, or if it's something else, about how do I see myself being part of this organization? You need to get to a point as well where you're keeping your customer data, because sometimes entrepreneurs feel that, oh, I don't need to keep data, or I don't need to interact with my customer data. Every point in time, keep your customers' data. It's the only way that you can personalize their content. And we're becoming a very hyper personalized environment. Nobody wants a dear customer email. And what people want is a dear Alero email. That's what people want. They don't want a dear customer email. And how do you do that? How do you know that Alero is picking an email up from you at 5:30 or 6 p.m. as opposed to, and so don't bother sending her anything before 6 p.m. because she's probably not going to read it. Those are the significant things that even having AI tools can help you achieve, that will take your business from your first level and scale it up. Again, tracking and measurement is key in scale. If you haven't started tracking, and I'm not talking about just sales or just numbers, tracking what are the trends that you are seeing behind your platforms or behind how you are projecting yourself online. Have those metrics and start to track against those metrics. You will be amazed at how it assists you in scaling your business when you realize my customers or people that engage with me are engaging with me best at 8 p.m. It changes your mindset. It can also influence the kind of content that you're going out with. Oh, they seem to interact more with X kind of content than X kind of content. Those are critical details that helps you grow your brand and scale your business. Foco, over to you.
OK, après la visibilité digitale, nous allons maintenant voir le marketing. Le marketing digital qui doit être centré sur la clientèle. Alors, il est important pour vous de toujours connaître qui est votre audience, qui sont les personnes qui vous suivent, qui sont les personnes qui vous écoutent, que ce soit vous-même ou votre marque, en fonction du marketing que vous êtes en train de faire. Et vous devez avoir un profil des personnes qui vous suivent. Ça permet que vous améliorez ou que votre contenu soit conséquent aux objectifs que vous voulez atteindre. Il faut aussi bâtir une connexion émotionnelle avec toutes ces personnes à travers, bien évidemment, les contenus que vous partagez. Vous devez pouvoir personnaliser votre communication à travers, ça peut être les communications sur l'email, ça peut être les communications sur WhatsApp, ça peut être les SMS. Ça doit être adapté à votre cible en fonction du narratif que vous voulez faire passer. Et bien évidemment, tout ça, vous devez avoir des unités de mesure de l'engagement que le personnel ou bien que les personnes qui vous suivent ont avec vous. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, 20% des marques sont personnalisées et apportent une grosse marque de scalabilité. C'est-à-dire que quand vous êtes bien organisé, vous avez un gain accru dans la communication en ligne. Merci. Over to you.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So I'm taking time on these pillars just so that you can, there's a lot that you can gain from this around scalability. So again, another thing is about leveraging technology. You must be able to use other digital tools. There's so many digital tools that are out there. So don't get stuck in just posting. It depending on your business. What tools are you using from a payments perspective? What tools are you using from a sales perspective? What tools are you using from a customer service perspective? To scale your business, you must be able to attach other tools to your basic format. And that way you'll be able to achieve scale. Because what that does is that from a technology perspective, it makes you more efficient, it makes you more agile, and it makes you more customer centric. So think about if there's an e-commerce platform, what am I doing with it? From a payments perspective, what can I do? Where are my audience? What can I do to achieve this? In this digital era, there's so much that you can link into your business process that will make things so much easier for you. And also make the customer believe that, you know what, this person, I can engage with them, I can work with them, and they're going to be able to move faster and let me do more with them. Remember, this is about growth. CRM and automations, whatever it is you can automate without reducing your personalization, then you should continue to do that, or you should do that, because the truth is, if you can automate and it makes you more agile and it makes you more efficient, that means that you have more time as well to innovate. Because innovation is not something that happens once you are a TEF entrepreneur. Innovation doesn't stop after you've won the award. Innovation is a continuous continuous experience that you should never let go of. It's something that happens constantly. And I spoke about this earlier, the use of analytics. How are you looking at the back end of your interactions and engagements and using those insights to build on what you're doing tomorrow, build on what you're doing the next day? It's important that you look into this and you drive it. E-commerce or sales platforms, payments, CRM and automation, analytics, and the use of AI. A lot of people are talking about AI, and we're still at the elementary forms of AI. But what AI can do for you is to also make you be more efficient because what a lot of people are using AI for right now is the curation of information. It gives you a repository about answering certain questions that ideally should lead to more questions, but use it in a way that it can help you grow and scale your business. Technology is the great equalizer for startups, businesses in small or medium-sized enterprises. So it's important that don't just think that you stopped by I'm making myself visible. These are the elements that are going to help you scale. Foco, over to you, please.
OK, thank you. Donc, vous devez aussi savoir, le quatrième pilier, c'est tirer parti de la technologie. Donc, de nos jours, avec le digital, il y a des outils qui permettent de tirer parti de la technologie. Nous avons, par exemple, le e-commerce. Nous avons, par exemple, les paiements. Nous avons, par exemple, le suivi de la relation client qui doit être automatique. Et nous avons aussi ce qu'on appelle les analytics, qui sont les analyses. Pour ce qui concerne le e-commerce, aujourd'hui, votre présence en ligne doit aussi s'observer à travers les activités que vous faites en ligne. C'est-à-dire que vos produits et services, si c'est adapté, ou bien vous devez trouver l'adaptation de la version de commerce en ligne. C'est ça qu'on appelle le e-commerce. Au niveau des paiements, il va de soi que si vous avez des plateformes de e-commerce, si vous faites des transactions en ligne, il faudrait aussi que vous ayez des systèmes de paiement sécurisés. Et on a aujourd'hui suffisamment d'outils de finances technologiques qu'on appelle les fintech qui vont vous aider à pouvoir le faire. Pour ce qui concerne la relation client, la relation client aujourd'hui peut aussi se gérer en ligne. Il y a les technologies nécessaires, quitte à vous de vous approprier tous ces services auprès des prestataires qui ont développé des applications ou de l'intelligence artificielle nécessaire. Aujourd'hui, tout peut se faire automatiquement. Vous avez des assistants, des chatbots qui vont vous aider à gérer les réclamations des clients. Pour ce qui concerne les analytics, quand vous faites de la communication en ligne, quand vous êtes digital, vous avez bien évidemment des retours, des chiffres, des data, des données de vos plateformes, ça peut être Google, ça peut être Amazon, ça peut être votre propre plateforme, que les analyses que le système vous renvoie en fonction de ce qui était programmé, et ces analyses vous permettent d'approfondir votre narratif, d'approfondir votre présence, d'améliorer ce que vous allez faire avec la technologie. Et pour sortir, on va donc dire que la technologie est un bon équaliseur pour les petites entreprises. Donc, c'est à vous de savoir vous en servir. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Now, another thing that is important is optimization and scaling. And you see how each of these things link together. Digitally mature SMEs are 3 times more likely to expand internationally. Now, that means that as an entrepreneur, for you to keep scaling your business, your maturity level on digital platforms is critical in order to achieve this. So how far can you think of where you want to take your business to? So you must reinforce feedback loops into your products and services, right? And then another thing is that also look at what are the industry standards. So please hold on a second.
Please, let's give our facilitator a few minutes. Thank you.
Okay, apologies for that. I was speaking about optimization and scaling. So reinforce your feedback loops for your products and services. Also, don't isolate yourself from understanding what are the industry standards as well. What are the industry standards that you're marking yourself against, and then how is it that you can scale? Another thing is the strength of brand is in community. So let's say you're in a community of let's say car engineers. How are you strengthening your community within that brand is very, very important. Within that, how are you strengthening your brand within that community as well? The fifth one is in diversification of income channels. If you start with something, how can you use digital to expand your channels or expand your offerings? So let's say you started off with these eco-friendly shoes that I spoke about earlier on, and you think that one of the things that your customers coming back to you on is around how do you keep these eco-friendly shoes clean? You think to yourself, okay, how can I, based on that feedback that I got online, how do I diversify to keep my business growing? Digital, like I said at the beginning, visibility is just the beginning. How you expand that across board and how you start to get diverse income streams is very important. And then plan for scalability. Plan that your business is going to grow. Sometimes don't get so caught up in what is happening now or a trend that is happening now that you are not expanding yourself incrementally for growth. And digital can help you do that, especially from a technology perspective. So that's why all these different pillars that I've spoken about need to all be working together in order for you to achieve growth. Foko, over to you, please.
OK, thank you. Donc, le dernier pilier que nous allons voir, c'est comment optimiser votre présence digitale et la rendre évolutive dans le temps. Pour cela, il est important pour vous de renforcer les retours que vous avez de vos produits ou de vos services. Il est aussi important pour vous de regarder autour de vous quels sont les standards de votre secteur. Ça veut dire que quelles sont les tendances, comment la concurrence se comporte, est-ce qu'il y a des améliorations que vous pouvez faire de votre produit. C'est autant de choses pour lesquelles vous devez être vigilant afin d'optimiser votre présence en ligne et mieux profiter de l'opportunité que la technologie peut vous accorder. L'une des forces aussi, c'est de pouvoir bâtir une communauté autour de votre marque. Ça, c'est important parce que Ça peut vous permettre d'avoir, par exemple, des brand ambassadors, c'est-à-dire des gens qui représentent votre marque auprès des petits groupuscules que vous avez créés dans votre communauté. Vous pouvez aussi diversifier les différents canaux que vous utilisez et ça permet de diversifier vos revenus. Et pour finir, il est important pour vous d'avoir un plan de scalabilité, c'est-à-dire que rien ne doit se faire au hasard. Vous devez avoir des stratégies. Vous devez avoir un plan qui permet de savoir que à telle date, nous devons être à tel niveau. Vous devez avoir des objectifs SMART et vérifier que tout se réalise exactement comme vous voulez. Donc, la digitalisation aujourd'hui, pour les petites entreprises, peut être 3 fois meilleure pour étendre votre présence à l'international. Voilà ce que la Banque mondiale a donné comme élément en 2025. Over to you.
Thank you, Foko. Next slide, please. So you can see from the last, what I talked about feedback loops. One thing that is very critical for growth or necessary for growth is listening as a tool. You must be able to listen to what your customers are saying, what your competitors are doing, and what your industry is doing. And digital has allowed you to be aware of things without going too far. Because sometimes a number of people don't understand that listening and understanding what's going on in different, it's not just saying, oh, I have this competitor and this competitor is doing X, Y, Z. It's actually listening and informing yourself. It's a role that you should get involved in and get involved in it properly. Monitor your social media comments and reviews. Use surveys and polls to get feedback. You must make sure it is from continuous feedback that you scale, that you grow. Stagnancy will come if you do not get feedback. Track how your customer service interactions. Remember one of the pillars was the use of technology. You can use technology to help track your customer service and your interactions. Hold community conversations. Don't run away from having a number of customers, and you don't have to do this physically anymore. This is all part of digitally minded or mature businesses. How do you have conversations? Community conversations, to understand what your customers are saying or what they want? Have that from time to time. Listen. Listening is a tool that can drive your growth. And of course, listen to your analytics. What is the analytics saying? What patterns are you looking? What patterns are emerging? What behavior is being demonstrated by your customer? Listening, absorbing, and also documenting what you are hearing is very important from a digital perspective. So digital is a continuous loop. It is not just about what you put out there. And I hope from this class, you're seeing that it is a complete interaction. It's a 360 engagement that you need to be involved in. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to run through quickly some ways to win. And we've spoken about it, and I'm sure you teased it up, but just as a summary, visibility on strengthening your digital presence. One, prioritize customer-centric approaches. Customer. Deliver value at all times, emotional, educational, financial. Value also comes from how you connect emotionally. We said this earlier on. Value comes from the lessons that people can absorb from you, and obviously from also get financial benefit. Use data to guide your decisions, not assumptions. Don't think that because it's a Friday at 6 p.m., everybody is relaxed. No, that's making a general assumption that may not relate to your own engagement or your own customer. And this doesn't matter what kind of business you are, because some people think as well that digital engagements are most likely for people that are selling products. No. Service interaction has moved from the traditional ways of engaging to also being online. So this also applies. This is not just a social media conversation. Remember always, this is a digital conversation. Seek partnerships and seek collaborations. One thing is, if if people come together more, and this is not about, it's not partnerships that are competitive, it's partnerships that are complementary. Think about what your business is, what you're trying to do in society. It could be providing education, it could be providing some sort of environmentally friendly service. What kind of collaboration is going to sharpen your edge that is not a competitor? It's a complementary that you can't do right now, but you can collaborate with, that's also going to give you skill. Foster engagements, conversations, feedback loops, consistent interactions. Invest in your customer experience. A lot of people think customer experience happens only in shops. Think about anything that you're doing digitally online as a store. It is basically, that's what it is. A store is where you interact with people. If you're interacting with people, if people are seeing you, if you're projecting something, it is mentally a store for you. Next slide, please. I think let Foco translate first, and then I'll go into these ones.
OK, thank you very much. Donc, nous allons commencer. Après les 4 piliers, nous allons donc voir maintenant certains réflexes que vous devez avoir, certains atouts, comme par exemple le sens de l'écoute. C'est un outil pour la croissance digitale. Vous devez avoir un sens accru de l'écoute. Vous devez écouter vos clients, vous devez écouter vos concurrents, vous devez écouter votre secteur d'activité. Et pour cela, donc, vous devez savoir que votre présence en ligne ne doit pas être plate. Vous devez interagir avec votre auditoire sur les réseaux sociaux. Vous devez lire les commentaires et y répondre. Vous devez faire des sondages de temps en temps pour savoir ce que les gens pensent et avoir des tendances. Vous devez aussi avoir une façon de retracer le parcours d'un client afin de personnaliser l'interaction que vous devez avoir avec ce client ou cette communauté. Vous devez avoir des communautés. Ça peut être sur WhatsApp, ça peut être sur Telegram, ça peut être sur IG Live. Voilà autant de choses qui vous permettent d'écouter votre clientèle, d'écouter la concurrence, d'écouter le secteur d'activité. Et surtout, vous devez savoir analyser les analytics que les plateformes vous donnent, les données, afin de maîtriser les croyances de votre audience et les adapter à votre narratif. Maintenant, comment faire pour gagner? Pour gagner, comme on vous l'a dit, vous devez prioriser le recentrage de votre marketing sur la clientèle. Vous devez avoir des valeurs que vous délivrez à tout moment. Et ces valeurs peuvent être émotionnelles sur le plan financier et sur le plan éducationnel. Vous devez utiliser les données que vous avez pour prendre des bonnes décisions et mettre en place des hypothèses. Vous devez rechercher des partenariats et des collaborations. Ça peut être avec les employés, ça peut être avec la clientèle, ça peut être avec les concurrents. Vous devez pouvoir permettre l'engagement des personnes qui sont autour de vous, avoir des allers-retours en termes de commentaires, en termes de feedback et constamment interagir avec votre audience. Donc, il est important pour vous, pour finir, d'investir sur l'expérience client et d'utiliser les outils d'analyse que le digital met à votre disposition. Over to you.
All right, thank you. And so I just want to speak quickly on the common digital mistakes to avoid. First of all, I've said it over and over again, ignoring data. If you're ignoring data, you are not ready to scale. Inconsistent branding. You must be able to be consistent with your brand. If you're not consistent about how your brand shows up, you're not ready to scale. Not investing in customer experience. It doesn't matter if the investment is a financial investment or an emotional investment or a mental investment. You have to show some investment into your customer experience. Another thing is when you are trying to overcomplicate your tech. So we spoke about tech being useful, but another thing that is important is that you don't need to plug in so many things, because sometimes people get so excited about tech, they overcomplicate it. Keep it simple and focus on the pillars that you're trying to achieve. If you focus on the pillars you're trying to achieve, you will not overcomplicate your tech. If you think tech is going to solve all your problems and you're not taking cognizance of your data, you are being inconsistent with your brand, it will not solve all your problems. It will complicate your problems. And then, again, we spoke about this earlier. Trends are nice, but copying without context does not make sense, right? So please, that is something that you need to understand. Understand what your competitors are doing, but at the same time, think about the context. Think a bit deeply, more deeply about why they're doing it and how does it relate to their brand. So that's very important. Next slide, please. Now, this is a statement before I go into the 4 C's of digital marketing growth. Digital is a great equalizer. You don't need to own a skyscraper to reach the world. You just need to have a smartphone and a story. And think about it. Your story must be consistent. Your story you must be telling it. And one thing about stories that is so beautiful is that stories allow for interaction. Storytelling is not something that is just done. It makes the person that you're telling the story to think. So you must always think about that. Foko, over to you before I go into the last part of my presentation. And then
Donc, il y a quelques erreurs que vous devez éviter, quelques grosses erreurs que les gens commettent quand ils sont en ligne, comme par exemple ignorer les données, comme par exemple avoir une marque qui n'est pas consistante, comme par exemple il faut utiliser la technologie, c'est pas bon, vous devez éviter ça. Ou bien copier sans le contexte, parce qu'on vous a dit tout à l'heure, vous devez observer la concurrence, observer le secteur. Copier quand c'est nécessaire, mais vous devez toujours copier et adapter, parce que les autres aussi, eux, ils vous copient. Alors, si vous voulez atteindre le monde, si vous voulez atteindre les nuages à travers le digital, vous n'avez pas besoin d'avoir des gros moyens, non. On vous l'a dit, le digital, c'est un grand équaliseur qui vous permet de vous ajuster. Vous avez juste besoin d'un smartphone et d'une histoire, un narratif que vous allez raconter. Les gens vont vous suivre. Ce narratif doit être dynamique et toujours être actif et actualisé. Over to you.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So the 4 C's of digital growth is, we've spoken, but I'm just going to run through this quickly. It's content, but if you want to think about 4 C's of digital growth: content, community, conversion, consistency. Content, community, conversion, consistency. Next slide, let's talk about content. From a content perspective, it is really, and we've talked about this, is about telling stories, not about selling features. This is something that true people that are pushing communication about trying to tell what they do, they always fall back into about talking about the features. The best brands don't speak about features, they tell stories. Think about the Apple story, for example. It is never about how, when you think about how they project their content, it's not that this camera has a 40-something pixel, blah, blah, blah. Those things come in some of the fine print. But it's about somebody is on holiday and they're taking a bridge and they're standing maybe really far away. But what you see them do is that they're able to capture that bridge and it looks beautiful. That is a story. It is not about just the features. So in the digital age, attention of a person is very expensive. People are scrolling constantly. So think about it. How am I catching attention? You can only catch attention with a story, not a feature. And then that means that you need to speak to things from a human perspective. Next slide, please. So you can go to the next slide, please. I won't speak to these. So if your content doesn't make sense, people feel something. It won't make them do anything. If they're not feeling something, they're not going to respond. So think about that in whatever form of business Because sometimes people think, oh no, my job, what I'm trying to do or what I'm trying to sell here is intellectual. So I don't need to be digital. You do need to be digital. And you have to find a way of putting yourself, your intellectual engagement or from a digital perspective. You need to make people feel. You can't be cold anymore because the attention span of people is very, very limited. Next slide, please. Community is the next C. So we had content as the first C, community. You're not just building followers. You're meant to be building a community. Think of the TEF Foundation in itself. The reason it's been this strong is also about the brand behind it and about the community it has built. That's the strength. That's where scale comes in. So you have to be able to have a tribe that at the end of the day, it's about community, that they are also telling your stories. So think about your community strategy online. Foko, over to you, then I'll take the next two C's.
OK, maintenant nous allons passer aux 4 C qui vous permettent de gérer la croissance digitale de votre entreprise. Le premier C, c'est le contenu. Le deuxième, c'est la communauté. Le troisième, c'est la conversion. Et le quatrième, c'est la consistance. Pour ce qui concerne le contenu, il est important pour vous de savoir que c'est l'histoire que vous racontez qui compte. C'est le storytelling que vous racontez qui compte. C'est le narratif qui compte. Ce ne sont pas les caractéristiques de votre produit. Non, ça ne marche plus comme ça. Vous devez avoir des personnes qui vous suivent parce que vous les inspirez émotionnellement. Donc, à l'ère du digital, l'attention des gens coûte cher. Si votre histoire n'est pas intéressante, ils vont zapper et passer à autre chose. Vous devez donc construire des histoires qui permettent de matérialiser votre marque. Le deuxième, c'est la communauté. Vous devez toujours bâtir une communauté. Et il faut aussi dire, avant de passer à la communauté, que si votre contenu ne dit rien aux gens, rien ne va se passer. Eux aussi ne vont pas passer à l'action. Ça, c'est clair. Alors, concernant la communauté, vous devez bâtir une communauté. Bâtir la communauté, ce n'est pas seulement avoir des suiveurs, non. C'est avoir des suiveurs qui vont être convertis plus tard en clients, qui vont même être des ambassadeurs au point de traîner d'autres personnes autour de vous. Prenez l'exemple de la fondation. Ce n'est pas uniquement un programme, c'est une tribu digitale de plus de 2,5 millions de personnes qui ont été formées. Donc ça, vous devez le savoir et vous en inspirer. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next slide, followers are nice, but community is gold. Think about it. That's a statement. So if we go down to conversion, slide 22, please. To convert, you need to make it easy to buy. Just think about that. And this is what links to I think it was the third pillar where we talked about enabling technology. And this is not just about a physical item, it's about a service. There are two things that people are buying. They're either buying service or they're buying physical items. Whatever it is people are buying, make it easy and let technology support you. You need to simplify, you need to automate, you need to integrate. Think about those three words: simplify, automate, integrate. That is how you drive scale. Next slide, please. So next slide, please. I'm not going to speak to. Another thing, and I mentioned it earlier on, was consistency. Be so present that they can't ignore you. Be so present that they can't ignore you. So at the end of the day, one thing that is very critical is how present are you? How present are you? That are you consistently showing up? Are you consistently being in the face of people? Also, how you show up, are you being consistent in how you show up as well? It's very important. So the truth is, consistency is what drives and builds trust. And it's what drives and builds credibility online. Remember at the beginning, one of the threats that we identified that is a threat for digital growth is really cybersecurity. And if people are not comfortable, and if you're not showing up in a consistent manner, they will never they will not trust you. And then what that invariably means is that you will not be able to scale. So the next slide, please. So be present even when you're tired. Don't give up on ensuring that you are consistently present. Don't give up on ensuring that how you show up is consistent, because it is a lot of work. So if we can quickly go to slide 30, please. And then I'll just let Foucault interpret what I previously said. Thank you.
OK, thank you. Donc, le prochain, c'est que nous allons voir, c'est la conversion. Donc, après le contenu et la communauté, vous avez la conversion. Pour convertir, il faut rendre facile à acheter. Et vous avez des outils qui vont vous permettre sur le plan digital de rendre facile à acheter. Vous devez avoir une simplicité. Vous devez automatiser et enfin intégrer. Donc, lorsque des gens sont convaincus, il faut qu'ils achètent facilement. Alors, la consistance, c'est que vous devez être présent. On ne doit pas vous ignorer si vous êtes présent. Et pour cela, donc, vous devez mettre en place des outils qui vous permettent de constamment être en ligne et de nourrir votre auditoire, parce que c'est la consistance de votre narratif qui crée la confiance. Et cette confiance, vous en avez besoin. On vous dit, soyez présent, même quand vous êtes fatigué. C'est ça, en fait, le rôle de l'automatisation. Soyez présent, même quand vous êtes fatigué. Maintenant, on va regarder peut-être quelques cas pratiques. Over to you.
All right, thank you. So in wrapping this up, the mindset for digital growth isn't about being everywhere. It's about being intentional where it matters. Please hold on.
Please, let's give our facilitator a few moments. Thank you.
So your mindset about the mindset for digital growth. Sorry. Your mindset for digital growth is not about being everywhere. It's about being intentional where it matters. One thing that is important is that you need to think like a creator. People buy from people, not logos. You need to act like a brand. Consistency builds credibility. You need to grow like a startup. You need to fail fast and learn faster. There's no magic wand. You need to be agile. The idea of agility is you stand up, you get up, you move, you adjust, you learn another route, you keep on moving. You don't need to post 100 times. That's not what it is. Be strategic in the thinking in order for you to grow digitally. It's not about how many times you post. It's what you're saying. Remember the 4 pillars. Content is one. Technology is another. Remember the 4 C's. The fact that you need to be consistent. The fact that you need to be driving conversions. You just need to post the right thing to the right people in the right time and in the right tone. And then you will find growth. Next slide, please. So like I said, think like a creator, act like a brand, grow like a startup. And above all, next slide, please, have fun with what you're doing. Because whatever, as an entrepreneur, for you to have gone this far as a TF entrepreneur, you must be passionate about what you've decided to do. So have fun with it, enjoy it, build, and let that energy also guide you online. And in conclusion, Africa does not need more followers. Africa needs more digital leaders, storytellers, innovators, and connectors. Think about yourself in any of these roles and how is it that you're going to use any of these roles to grow your business? How are you going to use any of these roles to drive growth? It is very important. A young man once said, what's the secret to building a strong digital brand? Start small, start honest, and start now. Using those pillars and using those 4 C's, and I'm sure you'll be digitally mature within no time? Thank you very much. And take questions.
Okay, thank
Ok,
you so
donc,
much.
can I translate, please?
Yes, please.
Ok, donc pour finir, nous avons maintenant le comportement, le mindset, le comportement que vous devez avoir pour une croissance digitale. Donc, vous devez savoir que la croissance digitale, ce n'est pas seulement être partout. Non, c'est être de façon intentionnelle là où il y a problème. C'est ça la présence digitale. Et puis, vous devez réfléchir comme un créateur. Vous devez agir comme une marque et vous devez grandir comme une start-up. C'est-à-dire que quoi? Tester, rapidement échouer et aussi rapidement apprendre. Parce que il n'est pas important de perdre votre temps tous les jours, mais il faut juste être là où il faut, faire les bonnes publications au bon endroit, devant la bonne cible et en utilisant le bon ton. Alors, en conclusion, qu'est-ce que nous allons dire? Il faut déjà dire que ce n'est pas la façon que vous devez communiquer en ligne doit être une façon avec amusement, avec plaisir, avec passion, parce que vous devez aimer ce que vous faites afin de bâtir quelque chose que le monde aussi va aimer. Et comme je disais en conclusion, l'Afrique n'a pas besoin des suiveurs, uniquement des suiveurs. L'Afrique a besoin des leaders digitaux, des storytellers, donc des personnes qui partagent aussi leur expérience, des innovateurs et des connecteurs, des personnes qui peuvent connecter les autres. Et alors, elle nous raconte une anecdote où un jeune lui a demandé quel est le secret pour bâtir une présence en ligne forte. Et elle lui a répondu, il faut commencer petit, il faut être honnête et surtout, il faut commencer tout de suite. Nous allons donc passer à la phase des questions-réponses. Merci. Over to you.
Thank you. And just if I can go to slide 35, just the last statement to make. Slide 35, please. So it's just a statement. So you go online, go global, and make the world click follow on your dream. That's what I wanted to leave you with from a growth perspective. And think about all the different ramifications and all the different tools and all the different ways in which these things need to come together in order for you to grow. Merci. Thank you very much. Poco, do you want to translate?
Ok, donc pour finir, une dernière chose, il faut être connecté en ligne pour être global. Donc, et faites que le monde clique pour suivre votre histoire, pour suivre votre rêve. Donc, c'est ce qu'on a appelé que l'Afrique n'a pas besoin des suiveurs, on a besoin des leaders digitaux. Vous qui nous suivez maintenant, soyez des personnes qui doivent leader le monde. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you. I can take some questions now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for this insightful masterclass. We have two key questions. The first person is asking, what low-cost digital strategies would you recommend for small businesses in Nigeria that have limited budgets but want to scale quickly? What
So what,
low-cost what low-cost digital strategies would you recommend for small businesses in Africa that have limited budgets but want to scale quickly?
Okay. All right.
You want to answer that now, or should I take the next one?
Give me the next one and then I'll answer both.
Okay. The next one says, how can entrepreneurs measure the success of their digital strategies beyond metrics like likes and followers? I'll repeat again. How can entrepreneurs measure the success of their digital strategies beyond metrics like followers and likes?
Okay, thanks. Thank you. So I'll take the first one about low-cost digital strategies. I think the first thing, one platform that you must be on for low-cost digital strategy is really about you need to get onto. So I'm not sure what product it is, but you need to get onto your social media platforms. That's one. However, it's not so much about the platform, it's about what you're posting. So the content that you are posting is what is going to help you drive your business growth. And it goes back to that statement, you cannot be posting features, right? So a low cost way of is what you need is you need your phone, and you need to be thinking about how do you want this content? How does this content help the customer? So there's a lot of people think that digital needs to be expensive for it to scale. No, you need to be able to provide people with the right kind of content that will even get them to send your content somewhere else. So basically, the customer becomes your mouthpiece. And you can only achieve the right kind of content if you understand the customer that you're speaking to. You cannot sell features, right? So even just start with what is your content saying and put the right kind of content on social media platforms. That is a low cost way to actually see how people interact with your content. See how far your content goes. If your content then is making progress, you can invest a little amount into specific ads. But the only way you can do that and do it so that it is effective is also profiling your customer properly. Again, people think that they need to spend a lot in order to achieve a lot of scale. No, the work is done by understanding who you're speaking to, building content to the audience that you're speaking to, and then posting that content at the right time as well. The second question was about metrics beyond likes and followers. Likes and followers is not even a metric. It's a nice one to have, but followership does not mean anything. Likes as well, it's a nice one to have, but it doesn't give you enough information. You need to find a way. There's a tool that allows you go into the back end of where you're getting likes and followers and actually see what time people are interacting with your posts. If you're on social media, that's why I spoke about Google Analytics. If you have a website, you must be going on Google Analytics. It will give you information on when people are coming to your site, how long they're staying on your site, and where in your site are they even going to. So some sort of heat map. And even for social media as well, you need to know when are people interacting with your posts, which posts are interacting better. So those are things that are beyond followers and likes. Followers and likes is very, very elementary, and it's not going to help you scale your business because it doesn't really tell you anything. So you need to get into the back end of your platform and be able to read what's happening there. You have a lot of information from that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam Alero. Unfortunately, Foko, our French translator, had to drop off. But I'm sure you all enjoyed this very insightful masterclass, and thank you so much for facilitating. And thank you as well to our entrepreneurs for joining in, listening in, and I'm sure you took away really key highlights for this session. So have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye.